Hi. It is an early morning. It's roughly 5 a.m. and I just wanted to pop on and see what I have to say. I'm going to breathe. You can breathe with me. I'm hearing hold your light. And right now, that is more important than ever. To hold your light. Speaking of light, excuse my lighting. It is still dark outside. And this is the best lighting I have at the moment. But right now, it's more important than ever to hold your light. And not only hold it for yourself, but hold it for others. This life is a journey that we're all on, and we all need a light to follow. We all need an example. Isn't it easier to do things when you have an example of how? Have you ever been given verbal instructions and not understood until someone showed you? Because that's how you learn. You learn by example. And when you follow an example that is walking in the light, you will walk in the light too. So make sure that the things you are following are light. Make sure the things you are following are not dark in nature. It's okay to dive into the darkness every once in a while. It's there. We must acknowledge it. It doesn't want to be ignored. It wants to be held, wants to be cradled, told that it's safe. And in doing so, you hand it the light. And when you hand your darkness the light, it becomes a shadow. And the shadow will show you how to walk through life. Because the shadow self is your true self. It is everything about yourself that you must face. And your shadow was never meant to be your enemy. It's meant to be your friend. You're meant to treat it like a child. To teach it that it's okay, that it's safe, that it can just be, and that it's okay to be. Having some back pain at the moment, so maybe somebody out there is also having some back pain. Someone listening. And it could be your sign that you need more rest. could be your sign that you're pushing too hard, that you're working too hard for something that should be easy, something that's already yours. Because truly, this life is already yours. It's yours already. It was yours from the start. And people have made you believe that your life is not your own. But your life is your own. Your life is everything you want it to be. So back to holding your light. Right now, it is so important to hold your light. Our planet is at a crossroads. And right now, the scale could tip either way, into the dark or into the light. But if you hold, excuse me, if you hold your light, you remain good, you remain positive, you will hold the front line. Because the front line has already started the battle. And we will win. We will win and bring the world into the light. And the darkness, it will not be ignored. It will not be shunned. It will be taught. It will be taught how to be light. Because the darkness is jealous of the light. The darkness thinks the light shouldn't be what it is. But the light is our very life force. We're meant to follow it. We're meant to hold it. We're meant to be a lighthouse. But in being a lighthouse, you guide the darkness. You guide the darkness into the light. And when light and dark come together, they create a shadow. And the shadow is the true self. It's why we call it shadow work. Because you're working with your darkness, not against it. You're not pushing it away. You're working with it. You become a team. And your darkness becomes your greatest ally. Because your darkness is your strength. It is the power inside of you that rises when nothing is going your way. That's what the darkness is. And when you let the darkness rise, it thinks it has control. and it starts to make bad decisions because it's not walking for the light. And until you teach it how to walk for the light, it will not become a shadow. You must teach yourself how to walk in the light. And many of you think you are. But if you truly look at your life, where do you see that the darkness is cracking through? Because those are the places that you need to heal. And when you heal them, your shadow will become safe. And when your shadow feels safe, you are safe. You are whole. Because the shadow is really the inner child. And the inner child is usually wounded. And that wounded child, think of it as a child, a real child. That wounded child within yourself needs to be held and told that it's safe. And until your inner child knows that it's safe, you will not be able to come into balance. Because your inner child is your true guide. It is the true desires, the true guide, the pure nature of your being. And distraction, but I don't know why, but I'm inclined to show I have a bear sitting here, and it's a doodle bear. It's a pink doodle bear with polka dot underwear. So maybe doodle bears are significant for you. Maybe the color pink. The inner child wants to feel safe. And I think the bear is showing me that my inner child is safe. Because after I've did a lot of shadow work, I felt inclined to find my childhood bear. And when I did, I felt its sentimental value. I felt the safety that it provided me as a child. And there is something in your life that brings you that safety. Maybe it's talking to a parent that makes you feel safe. Maybe it's sitting with a grandparent that makes you feel safe. Maybe it's in a long night with a best friend talking about life. Whatever it is, find it. Because your inner child is you. You are still that child. You are still that innocent child that wants to be safe, that desires love, that desires safety, that desires hope, that desires dreams. You are that child. You never stopped being that child. You just got bigger. But in here, and especially in here, you're the same person you've always been. And you might look at your life and think, I'm nothing like I was as a child. You might even think you're the total opposite of what you were as a child. But then you must face why. Are you wounded? I'm sure you are. All of us carry wounds, especially from childhood. And we let those wounds eat us. We let them eat us until they become us. And when our wounds become who we are, we no longer walk in the light. We're no longer holding our light. There's something about tomorrow. Tomorrow being a new awakening for someone. Someone is going to experience something tomorrow. And it's going to bring them clarity. And that clarity is going to bring them to meet their shadow. So whoever you are, be prepared to meet your shadow. Be prepared that it's going to be wounded. Be prepared that it's going to react brashly. And it's up to you to calm it, to tell it that it's safe, to tell it that it's okay to just be, and that it can be wounded, and it can hurt, and it's allowed to be in pain. And as soon as you feel that pain and you allow it to move through you, you will release it. And then once you release it, it can no longer hold you. It no longer injures your inner child. Does the memory go away? No. Do the feelings behind the memory go away? No. They remain as a reminder of what it looks like when you're wounded. Because to have the knowledge of what it looks like to be wounded allows you to see it when it's happening. It allows you to see it in others. It allows you to see it in yourself. And that wounding is what needs to be healed. Not fixed, but healed. And healing isn't an easy path. It's really hard. And I don't know if anyone ever gets to the point where they are truly 100% healed. Because you will always have the reminder of why you are where you are. And if you didn't have wounds, you wouldn't be who you are. And those wounds stand as reminders of who you are. Because those moments were pivotal. The moments where you were wounded told something about you. It either told your strength or your weakness. And in the moment where you are strong, you can use that as a guide. And in the moment you are weak, you can use that as your baseline. That's where you don't want to be. You don't want to feel weak. You want to feel strong and powerful. We all do. Because we are strong and powerful. There's a lot of people in this world. They're going to tell you, you can't do it. They're going to tell you that it's impossible to overcome the things you've been through. That it's not possible to live a happy life after what you have been through. But it is. It is possible. I have been to hell and back. I existed in hell my entire teen years. And even before then, it crept into my life. I allowed it to stay, and I fell down the ladder. And you can't tell it to leave, because it will never leave you. It was the lesson. It was what taught you how to be who you are. Whether it was bad or good, it taught you to be who you are. All of the events of our lives shape our being. And those bad things that happen to us, the things that are out of our control, they seem unfair. They seem like, why me? But you can't be a victim. You can't play the victim, because you're not a victim. You were given a lesson. And if that lesson was hard, the reward was great. And maybe you just haven't seen the reward yet. Sometimes it takes time. It takes years to heal. Sometimes an entire lifetime. But you don't have to be 100% healed to walk in the light. You don't have to be healed to be whole. It's okay if you're wounded. It's okay if you have scars. Everyone has scars. Physical, mental. We all have scars, and they hold memories of our past. And those memories teach us which way to go. I don't know why, but I'm hearing endocrinology or endocrinologist. Maybe you are one. Maybe you've seen one recently. I don't even know what they do. Something about a clock ticking too. Ticking clock that has been driving you crazy. I came on here without a plan. I usually do, but I really came on here without a plan today. And I'm not sure if anything I've talked about has impacted you. I'm not sure if anything has made sense. But I just hope that whoever is listening to this remembers that they are already whole and that you already hold the light. You always have. You never lost it. It has always been there, waiting in your heart to help you heal. Because as soon as you hand the light to the darkness, it becomes a shadow. And the shadow knows how to dance through this life. I'm also seeing the episode of SpongeBob where Patrick is trying to open a jar of mayonnaise. And he can't open the mayonnaise no matter how hard he tries, and he's like biting it and getting angry. And when you get angry about things, you lose sight of what you're trying to do. You get so caught up in it that you forget what you're doing. That's why when you're angry, you feel like you're spiraling, because you're spiraling out because you're letting the darkness drive. You have to be mindful of your feelings. Be mindful of that anger, of any negative feeling that you have. Be mindful of it. And don't let it bring you to the point where you are biting the lid of the mayonnaise and trying to gnaw it off with your teeth. Don't let it get there. Don't let it get there. You have to be conscious enough to step in with that light before the darkness rises. Do you understand what I'm saying? You need to step in before your emotion becomes so big that it can no longer be controlled. Because you are in control of your emotions. You can control how much control they have over you. And if you give them control over you, if you let them drive your bus, you're driving into the darkness. Because you're letting it overwhelm you. You're not allowing it to be balanced. You're letting it tip the scale. And today is as good a time as any to start working on yourself, right? Why not? Start now. However old you are, However long you've been in pain, it's never too late. Never. It is never too late. Why do you think cruel people on their deathbed have been saved? Because in that final moment, they learned and they pleaded. And if it takes you that long, that's okay. Because in the end, you still learned your lessons. That doesn't mean that you walked through life in the path of light. It just means that you got to a point where you realized that the dark actions of your life could have been curbed, could have been changed, could have been light, if only you had had the strength and the power, the mindset to change them. Because you do have the strength. If someone on their deathbed can muster up the strength to plead with the Lord for their life, you can have the strength to stand up and start walking for the light. I don't care what you've done in your past. I don't care what has happened to you that was out of your control. It doesn't matter. You can still start today. Start walking that path of light. Start facing your darkness. Start teaching your shadow that it's safe to be here. Because it is safe to be here. You are safe. There is nothing in this life that can hurt you, that can bring you down if you don't let it. Even the worst situation. Someone sitting in prison can choose to wallow and cry and be angry, to sit there and stew over it. Or you can repent. You can change the way you think. Change your mindset. Instead of sitting in that prison cell crying and whining and blaming the world, start asking the Lord for help. Ask Him to show you how to get out of prison. And maybe that means the prisoner gets out early on good behavior. Because instead of being angry about their sentence, they accepted it. And they understood that that was where their path had led them. And they made a choice to do better. And maybe when that prisoner gets out, he leads an honest life. Because he learned. But that prisoner who is in there fighting and brawling and causing all kinds of disruption and their sentence gets extended, they're sitting in the darkness. They're letting the darkness drive their bus. And when you do that, you take your chance of walking in the light away. I don't know why, but SpongeBob is really popping in my head right now. I'm thinking of the episode where he ripped his pants. And when he ripped his pants, he realized that everybody thought it was great. So he kept doing it, and he kept doing it, and he kept doing it, until the reactions of people started turning sour. And soon, everyone was annoyed. And nobody wanted to be around him. Because he was doing something foolish. And trying to bring others into his foolishness. And for a time, they joined in because they thought it was funny. But once the humor wore off, they saw that it was foolish. And that applies to life. If you walk through life as a fool, and people are laughing, and they think it's great, you continue to be a fool. Until you look at yourself and you realize that you are being a fool. And that these people aren't laughing with you. They're laughing at you. And you're the only person who can change your behavior. And I'm hearing diamond in the rough. That's what you are. You are a diamond in the rough. Because we're all diamonds. Every one of us. We are made of carbon. And when carbon is put under pressure, it becomes a diamond. Why do you think that some of the people with the most struggling, difficult lives are some of the brightest? Because pressure creates the diamond. The trials of your life teach you how to be. They teach you how to exist. And the trials of your life will continue to come. They never stop. And you will always be facing trials. But face them in the light. Hold your light. Hold your light so that others can see how to walk correctly. And don't forget about your shadow self. Because your shadow needs constant reminding that it's safe and that it's okay to be. Remind yourself that it's okay to just be. I think that's all I have to say. Thanks for watching.